Right, all right. Well, I want to say good morning to everyone. This is Monday Morning Message. I am your host, Sean Nicholson. Thank you for tuning in on today. We're excited to be able to present these opportunities to you as it relates to small business and different tips and techniques and opinions that have been deemed successful over the years. So the way that this works is every Monday morning at 8 a.m., we'll come to you live and be able to present ideas and tips, as well as strategies, if you will, on how to further your businesses during this time of pandemic, and not only during the time of this pandemic, but afterwards as well. I want to give you a couple of housekeeping things here. There is a chat room that we have set aside that you can post your questions and ask different things during the conversation that we'll have. Also, that you could email me with questions or go to your social media platforms to be able to send me what you would like to see discussed possibly every week. Then I would need you to make sure that you check your volume, make sure that everything is good. I want to make sure that you hear everything that we have to say on today. And we want to encourage you to invite your friends, your colleagues. Every week, we'll be giving something new, something different that will be appealing to you in your business. And we think that if you would share this information, I think that we can continue to build this ecosystem, this entrepreneur ecosystem that we have here in the state of Virginia, but also across the globe. So we just thank you for supporting us in that regard. Want to let you know, those that are just tuning in for the first time, that every Friday at 3 p.m., we do what we call the Square Tips. That's the time that I spend giving three tips for your businesses and for your nonprofits, your faith-based, private corporation, whatever the case may be, to encourage you during this time. And again, not just for the pandemic, but just in business in general. So on Fridays at 3 p.m., we present the Square Tips. And that's also sponsored by SMN Square. I also want to make mention that we do have sponsorship opportunities. And with the sponsorship opportunities, you're able to send me your mug, your coffee mug. And I got to promote Starbucks on today. I don't know if you can see it, but there's Starbucks. I'm an avid Starbucks drinker. So I want to advocate them on today. But for the sake of when people log on, they'll see the blank cup, because this can be you. Your name can be here. Every week I'll be drinking out of a coffee mug. Now, I'm happy to say that Mondays for the month of May has already been taken care of. So we thank those businesses, nonprofits, and private companies that have sent me their mugs, and we will be highlighting them, if you will, during the session. Also, every third Monday, I will pick a nonprofit that I can highlight and spotlight, because nonprofits are being hit very hard during this time of this pandemic. Most of the nonprofits are donor-based, and a lot of times they receive federal funds and private donors and things of that nature. But we want to give back, so we'll be highlighting or spotlighting a nonprofit every third Monday. So if you're a nonprofit that we should know about, please send us your information. Our email address is info@smnsquare.com. That's info, INFO, at smnsquare.com. Well, we want to go ahead and get started. Zig Ziglar, many of you know who he is. He said that the only thing worse than training employees and losing them is not training them and keeping them. So the takeaway is very clear, that potential loss of dollars that are invested in employee development pales in comparison to certain productivity loss inflicted by a mediocre workforce. I want to make sure that I deliver the message that not only will we be offering these messages and tips through our company, but we do offer our services to you as well. Many of you are in business and maybe have been in business for years, but there's always more, there's always innovative ways and things that we can do. Cutting edge technology has afforded us the ability to advance with the time to remain relevant. But one thing that I know to be sure is that workforce development as it relates to your personnel is very important, that you continue to train them. Professional development and staff development as it is. These are some of the things that we have to continue to do, even in the midst of a crisis. Many of you have gone to teleworking and you have had your employees to go to teleworking, and it's kind of seem hard to gather everyone together. I encourage you to give us a call, send us an email. We'll be able to help you with designing a virtual professional development day. Many companies once a week or even once a month, they do professional development. Well, we're offering that service to you during the course of this pandemic. So please reach out to us and we'll give you some information about that as we move forward. Process on improving and increasing the capabilities of staff and through the access of education and training opportunities, definitely in the workplace, through outside organizations and through watching others perform on the job. Professional development helps build as well as maintain an organization, and which is also called staff development. So we believe that work has changed. Training needs need to evolve as well. And we offer the best class experience, online training programs to cover all your people skills that you need. We offer DISC assessments. We can even do the Myers-Briggs and even Berkman assessments as well. We can give you all the tools that you need for sustainability and success in your workplace. Wherever your people are, wherever they are located, we can reach out to them. We can reach out to them. I have several people logging in throughout the country, and a lot of times they're on different time zones, so people are coming in. So I appreciate the support. I am excited for the love that we get as it relates to the business ventures and the things that we do. So thank you for your support. All right. So without further ado, let's move through. Now, what we want to talk about today is adaptive leadership. Adaptive leadership. Now, a lot of people are leaders. Well, we have several leaders, we have several managers, and there are differences in the two. And this is my definition. A leader not only can manage a particular organization or workforce, but they have visionary skills that during times of crisis or other times that we have to pivot in our business, they can adapt to the situation. Unfortunately, a lot of execs, CEOs, COOs, business owners, they're unable to adapt when change comes. But for a visionary that is prone to pivoting on a regular basis, when these things come up, they're able to adapt to whatever the situation is and succeed during that. So we want to talk a little bit about that on today. On your screen, you should see what basically is our, I would say, pillars, if you will, for the company and how we operate. And what we see in business is that passion is very important. Strategy is important. Innovation is also important, as well as vision. So let's work backwards. Businesses should have a vision. You know, a lot of times you have your mission statements, you have a vision statements, your why in the business. What is it that you want to accomplish in your business? Who is it that you're trying to help? What is the target audience? Where's the demographic? All of these things are very important when developing a business. Then we have to look at innovation. Innovation is something that we have to stay on top of our game, as it were, being able to move through the times, through decades, to be able to stay relevant in our business. I've been in business for myself since 1998, and things have changed tremendously. I often share the accounting software QuickBooks. When QuickBooks had shortly come out, we purchased that set of 3.5 floppy disks. Yes, right. 3.5 floppy disks. I have to get one to show because, matter of fact, I don't even know if they still make it, but I still have the original box with those. I think it was maybe 30 disks in there that we had to insert into the computer. Now you just go online and everything's cloud-based. So what I'm saying is, over at least 2 decades, technology in just the bookkeeping aspect has changed tremendously. So we need to be able to stay up on top of those things. We have to have a strategy. You know, what is our plan of action? Interesting enough that we're dealing with individuals now that a lot of times they don't have a strategy for their marketing. They don't have a strategy for opening up their doors. They don't have a strategy for their bringing in other business in terms of sales. They don't have a strategy to do anything. Now, they have a great business model, but they don't know how to articulate that it will go out to different people and bring in revenue. And then lastly, with all of that has been said, you must have passion. For those of you that are familiar with S&M Square, we have embraced the concept of passion. As a matter of fact, we have even taken it personally, and passion we look at as being passing eye on. Hence the reason for our name, S&M Square. We want to duplicate exactly what we have experienced and learned over the years and implement that in a way that we can help others maintain their businesses. So throughout this webinar, you'll hear on where we address the innovation, the strategy, the passion, and vision in that as being an adaptive leader. Let's move on. So I always like to open up with a few quotes. I think that they're very good, if you will, in helping us navigate. But this quote in particular says that leadership is no longer about your position. It's no more about your passion. It's now more, about your passion for excellence and making a difference. How many of you want to make a difference in your business? So that's very important. Another one is leaders don't create more followers. They create more leaders. That is very powerful. Leaders don't create more followers, but they create more leaders. Again, we want to replicate our model. We want to build leaders because we can only do but so much. But if we develop and build leaders, we can now disperse them and delegate them into the workplace, into the marketplace, and they can succeed. So it is very important that we create more leaders. And then when leaders are not empowered to effect change, organizations are slow to achieve growth or true transformation, which is simply saying that if we don't empower ourselves to be a change agent in the marketplace, in the business, the industry, whatever competency that you're working in, organizations tend to be very slow in achieving their growth as well as their transformation. But someone that is very in tune of what the economics are, what very in tune about how things are moving, and they adapt to that, they will experience great growth, if you will, and transformation will be inevitable. So we want to leave that with you. The objective on this Monday morning message is to really just identify what leaders really do. Secondly, we offer assessments. It's called the True Color Assessments that I'll just spotlight on today, but these are some things that we can identify with your staff, with your leaders, with your management team to be able to understand what color they are, if you will, as it relates to business and personality. It's very important to know that. Then thirdly, we want to look at situational leadership, or another way to look at that is adaptive leadership. How do we change our leadership, or maybe not change our leadership, but how do we adapt to a situation so that we can lead people differently? It is a known fact that people learn differently. So we have to be able to use situational leadership in our workplaces so that we can help everyone that comes that we're working with. And then lastly, virtual leadership, because now we are in a space that a lot of things are going to be virtual. We have teleworking, we have remote working, we have Zoom calls, we have go meet calls, all these different calls that we have. And basically we have taken away from the brick and mortar for the most part and gone to a virtual environment. So we're going to talk a little about that. Now, as it relates to the color, your relationship style or leadership style and your color, when we do this assessment, we're able to ascertain where your leaders are. They may be blue, which means that they have a relationship, they're a relationship oriented. They may be gold, that means they're structure oriented. They may be green, they're cognitive oriented, or they may be orange, they're impulse oriented. Now, the reason why it's important to understand these particular colors is because when you're building your teams, this is especially for leaders, management, people that have direct reports. When you're building your team, you want to have an effective team. It does not make sense to have a bunch of structured people on your team because they will come up with a great plan, but there will be no implementation because no one will be able to carry it out. You have some people that are orange, that are impulsive. That is good sometimes because those are your go-getters. A lot of times those are your extroverts that go out and they get the job done. They'll talk to anyone. And a lot of times you see that personality in sales. So you see that where the leadership style and identifying with the color of that leadership style, it is very important for the workplace. And we're able to offer that assessment to you as well. Situational leadership, as you look here at this chart, this is just an example, you see that there's supportive behavior and then there's directive behavior. And then on a scale to low to high, you can find out where your leaders are in this spectrum, if you will. Now, in doing so, you understand that some leaders are directing, some leaders are coaching, some leaders are supporting, and some leaders are delegating. I will share this information. I had some direct reports one time, and there were some great employees, great staff. One in particular was very, how can I say, I needed to guide him on everything. Now, he was structured, if you will. Long as you told him what to do, he'll get it done. I had to use a directing and coaching type of leadership with him because he would not think outside of whatever that preview was in front of him. A lot of people are like that. They'll execute the task that you lay before them, but they're not going to do any more than just that. So if it's like the team building exercise of making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. All of us at some point have made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But if we were to actually give instructions on how you would make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, a lot of people will come up differently because you have different people do different things. They do things in a way that their culture or their innate behavior allows them to do. But the point of the matter is, if this structured person, they will not think outside of what the directions tell them to do. They'll get it done and they'll get it done well, but they will not improvise. So they don't have the the ability, if you will, at that time to navigate to adapting to a situation if something went wrong. So these assessments are able to help identify through situational leadership, or we can identify situational leadership. What type of leader are you? Are you a leader that directs? Are you a leader that coaches? Are you a leader that is supportive? Or are you a leader that delegates? Now, I like delegating, and because that requires low directive and low support. We can give a task to an individual, they can adapt to the task, they can carry out the task, and then they report the task back for accountability's sake. That is a great opportunity to have in your business model. But there are some that you have to direct. right? That means that there's a high directive that you have to get, and there's low supportive behavior. So these are some of the things that we are able to help you with. Now let's get to the virtual leadership. Virtual presence is the ability to authentically connect your virtual audience so that they feel included, engaged, and inspired. Now, virtual team leaders need to have strong foundational leadership qualities, and they must also be able to excel in certain areas. And we'll go over that. This is important because as you have teleworking and have your employees working remotely, you still need to monitor their progress. You still need to make them feel included in your organization. Some of you had to send some people to work telework, and some are staying there at the office. Well, how do we merge the two together so that everyone feels that they're on board and a part of the mission? Here are some of the things that you should look for, a leader should have in virtual leadership. For one, there should be communication. Clear communication is very important. You have to communicate the task to your staff, your direct reports, so that they can understand what the task is at hand. Accountability. Once we deliver the task and allow them to do it without micromanaging, we need to make sure that they carry out and then hold them accountable. Well, how do we do that? Through trust. You got to have a sense of trust. If you trust them enough to give them the job, to come work for your company, truly you should be able to trust them enough to carry out the responsibilities that you have given them. But in order to do that, you got to be clear speech. You have to articulate the task very clearly and then let them repeat it back so that everyone is on the same page as to where and how they are to get the job done. Then you must be supportive. Always don't leave them out on an island just to fend for themselves. Check in, weekly check-ins, being able to give positive feedback. These are some ways that you can still lead virtually in this environment. And then empowerment, build your individuals up, your staff, always encourage them. We say sometimes you have to stroke their ego, but that's not a bad thing in and of itself. There is, matter of fact, I have a book. It's about 1,000 ways to review or to reward your employees. 1,000 ways to reward your employees. That's a very good resource, and I'll share that with you at a later time. But build up your employees and your staff to let them know that they're doing a great job. Don't be afraid to ask them for input on how they can assist in navigating your mission and your vision through these times. Virtual leadership also, we have to adapt our communication styles and come up with various communication medias. We use sometimes robocalls or text calls and send mass text, social media platform, emails, chat, the Slack, Telegraph, whatever the case is, use those mediums. It's going to help you in this environment. Coach and give support and corrective feedback in still the virtual seating or the virtual settings. Build relationships with virtual team members. Set up teams. One thing I like about Zoom, and this is not necessarily an endorsement for Zoom, but I like Zoom because you can build out rooms. So, for instance, you can have a meeting and you gather everybody together. And then in that meeting, you can go over instructions or what you want to work on that particular day. Well, the way Zoom is, you can go into breakout rooms, and then depending on who is there at the meeting, it can assign different people to those committees, if you will. And then they can go to work and you can still have your general session. You can even go in and report in to see or to check in and see how they're coming along. And then you set it as a time limit because then they'll come back with the work that they have done. And then you can then talk about it through the general setting. So there's a lot of different technologies out there that you can continue to have that personable relationship with your staff and your employees. Build relationships, yes. Create team and a sense of community and culture, and make sure that you have a culture that barriers are not an option. You see the barriers, you address the barriers, and you take care of them, right? I believe that even in this space, diversity and inclusion is still important in this virtual space that we're in right now. We can help you to have a sound program with your business during this time. So just to recap, what leaders do, they lead. That's what John Maxwell said. Leaders lead. All right. We can help you with your personality assessments for your staff through some of our diversity and our our assessment platforms that we have, such as the DISC assessment, the Truth Colors, the Myers-Briggs, and the Berkman assessment. We even do the 360 leader. We can offer that to you as well. Situational leadership. How do we adapt to situations? How do we pivot in times of crisis and when challenges come? What do we do? And then how do we lead virtually? Setting up teams and leading virtually is very important right now in the space that we're in. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us and we'll help you get your programs up and running. I always like to leave with resources. And here are a few that are in my library. Start with why. That's with Simon Sinek. You got to know why you do what you do, right? Strategic Leadership. This is by Stephen Stowell. Now, this is a very powerful book, even in this space. So I highly recommend that you look at it. And then one of my all-time favorite authors, John C. Maxwell. His books and resources has totally changed my life as relates to leadership. My first book that I read from him was The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and an awesome book that I highly recommend. And then you see there he has Team Essentials, qualities of a team player, and then the 17 indisputable laws of teamwork. This is very important for us as we grow our businesses. Well, we thank you for tuning in to Monday Morning Message. And again, I am Sean Nicholson, the managing principal for SMN Square Incorporated, where we provide building blocks for your success and sustainability in your businesses and your workplaces. There is my contact information that is there. Feel free to look us up on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can even find me on LinkedIn. Feel free to check out our website. That's www.smnsquare.com. Or you can email us at info@smnsquare.com. So we thank you for joining us. Remember, on Friday we have our Square Tips. We will be airing that at 3 p.m. every Friday, Square Tips. Lastly, don't forget, if you want to be a sponsor, your name could be on this mug right here. And I will be able to promote your business to the people that are in our network. Also, every third Monday, we will be spotlighting a nonprofit. That is our way to give back to the nonprofits. We'll spotlight a nonprofit. I'll be drinking out of their coffee mug. I'll be giving you information on how that we can help support their efforts during this time of crisis. So until next week, we thank you. Stay safe. Remember to be productive and always have passion in your business. I am Sean Nicholson, and I will see you next time. Take care.